The man in charge of fixing Britain's railway system said it should be more independent from government and should have more input from city authorities. I'll be finding out what it means for passengers.
Anyway,
We've known that for a while.
let's talk about the railways, because Victoria Fritz is at Manchester Piccadilly for us, because there's going to be some changes and hopefully improvements. Morning, Victoria.
Hi, good morning to you. Good morning to you both. Yes, so there is a big rail review going on at the moment after the crises that we saw on the rail industry and all the rail systems right across the country last year. The man in charge of all of this is Keith Williams. He's a former BA executive. He's the chairman of John Lewis at the moment, and he is promising to put passengers back at the heart of this entire system. He's promising a revolution, not just an evolution of the system. He's given the BBC an exclusive preview of his thoughts so far.
The ticketing system of today was developed in 1995, so it's been operating for well over 20 years. There are 60 million fares that are filed today, and that ticketing system just of itself means that it's been difficult actually to bring in the flexibilities that you talk about. You know, pay as you go across regions and across cities has been difficult to implement because of the fare system that exists today. What we are seeing is third parties coming into that because of the the internet world that we live in today. Is third parties such as Trainline are making a really good impact and a good impetus in terms of ticket change. What I think the review needs to do is to recognise that that can be taken further.
So what is it that customers really want from their train services? We've been here to find out.
Was that my train ticket from Redditch to Birmingham was operated by one company, and then from Birmingham to Crewe was another. They need to be able to talk to one another, so if it says you're getting on at Redditch and you're getting off at Manchester, you just do it how you want to do it.
Various delays and things like that, which can be quite annoying, especially going to work. Yes, and they need to have more live updates and regular trains as well.
We're asking passengers what you want for the railways. How could it improve for you?
I just need the trains to be on time and to have space to sit down.
What about you?
I'm here only for a week, so it's my first week here, so I don't really know what they're like normally.
Are you doing work experience?
Yes, yeah.
Best of luck with it.
Thank you. Thank you.
A future commuter there. I wonder whether he will be satisfied with his journeys, because at the moment customer satisfaction rates are the lowest among consumers when the network is at its busiest. Let's bring in Tony Miles, who is a rail expert. Now, one of the big problems is ticketing. It's one of the things that people get really upset about. There is some talk about rolling out a tap-in, tap-out system, as you see on Transport for London with the Underground. Would that help solve the problems around ticketing?
It would certainly help solve it in regional areas, say like in the West Midlands they're very keen on it, and maybe in the north of England. The big problem is trying to roll that out nationally, because there are some very big rail fares out there and people would like a little bit of certainty before they tap in what they're going to end up paying. So locally, yes; nationally, big challenge.
Now, another thing raised in some of those voices this morning, talking to people on their way in and across Manchester, is the confusion about when services are departing, at what time, at what platform. Passengers told quite conflicting information about their train services, and they end up missing trains. Is that easy to fix?
It can be quite easy, yes, and in fact the biggest criticism of train companies from last year, when there was all the disruption, was the poor information. You've got 6 different companies here on the board behind me, and yet all that information is available freely from Network Rail, so people could develop some apps that are really simple to understand, that passengers could use to track their journey, find out which platform to go on and so on. So those are things that, yes, can be generated almost without the industry support. Entrepreneurs can get involved in that.
Now, the central recommendation at the moment appears to be to prise this industry away from Westminster's clutches, really. Do you reckon the politicians will be prepared to let go?
I think that's the biggest challenge. We thought there was going to be devolution for transport in the north of England, and at the last minute the department sort of reined back from that and said, well, you can come to meetings in London a bit more often and sit with us. Being bold enough for politicians in Westminster to say, yes, we'll let the various regions of the UK have the money and then spend it wisely as they see fit, would be the biggest challenge, and that's the one the government's got to answer in this review.
It certainly is. Thanks very much, Tony. Well, Williams is reporting back to the government in September. He says he wants to identify as quickly as possible those easy wins, the things that he can do as quickly as possible with the industry to make commuters and passengers more generally their lives a little bit more comfortable on the trains. He says that is the first step to winning back the hearts and minds of passengers.
Yeah, that would certainly help a lot of commuters and travellers. Thanks very much, Victoria. Lovely to see you.